Hello and welcome to today's video. We're going to cover LTA South heading into Split 3. There have been a lot of roster changes and most are announced, but I am going to have to utilize the rumored rosters as of the moment for Red. There's somebody else. Loud. Red and Loud, I don't believe, have officially announced their rosters, and Fluxo just did. So, with that in mind, all the way over to the left, we have how the teams are ranked based on each individual role, ranked against other players in that role within the region. So overall, you look at Faria. Faria has the best roster when we look at each player relative to the role. Gigo in top lane, Tatu in jungle, etc. So we see Furia first, followed by Vivo, Keyed Stars in second. So statistically, going into Split 3, VKS is second, before Pain. And then you have Isurus, which is formerly Isurus Astral, Red, Loud, Fluxo, Leapfrog, Leviton. But what we have to keep in mind is because there are so many roster changes that have occurred between Split 2 and Split 3, the mid lane role is a disaster zone. Half of the mid laners have been replaced. So when we look at the solo lane and mid jungle rankings, those, especially in mid, well, actually, hell, mid lane accounts for half in both. Literally, the mid lane role for Loud, Isurus, Red, and Leviton are considered even because all four of those mid laners played in a tier 2 region, tier 2 league in spring, so none of them are coming off of a break. Unlike Curdy for Fluxo, who did not play, at least officially, on Game of Legends this past spring, so technically he would be ranked last in his role. So we look at the top three. Furia, Vivo, Keat Stars, and Pain Gaming are by far the three best teams based on the current setups for the teams. And that's because they haven't made any roster changes except, well, I guess let me rephrase that. Vivo, Keat Stars improved mid, going from Kisei to Myru. And then Furia and Pain did not make any changes. So, Furia, their strongest parts are their solo lane and bot lane duo, ranking first. And then in the case of Vivo Keat Stars, it's the mid-jungle duo of Decimus Myru, statistically going into this split, are the strongest mid-jungle duo. Pain Gaming, second, third, and third as well. So those three teams all take the top three spots in each individual category. Well, every time we combine, let's look at the solo lanes for these teams. The mid-jungle duos, statistically. The bot lane duo, statistically. And then after that, Isurus, the weakest part, the solo lanes. Why would that be? Well, you literally have Zoan and Liza, two players that did not play at all in Tier 1 during spring. So, by default, they're ranked pretty much last because nobody else can claim both solo laners didn't play at all in spring. When we look at Red Canids, 5th, 6th, 5th, they really overhauled their roster. They've brought in Kaze and Rebello in the mid 80 carry positions. What helps them to get to 5th is FNB is an upper half top laner in LTA South, and Frosty is at support as well, so they end up 5th. Loud, their strongest part is the solo lanes, but Griffin and Jewel both didn't play Tier 1 Tier 1 in spring. Griffin, I don't believe, played at all in a Tier 2 setting. I know he did participate with T1 Academy, which was a big thing because he was a America's player playing in Korea's academy system. But we also seen some Vietnamese players playing in the Korean academy system as well with DRX this past season. So this isn't totally unheard of. And Reckless, I guess, did it, last year as well in the Challengers roster. But the point is, oftentimes you're seeing Tier 2 players from Challengers in Korea going to LTA South or other regions historically, and not so much the Tier 3 players. So Griffin to transition straight from Tier 3 to Tier 1 is going to be a jump in my opinion. Not only that, I mean, he's a young player, so there is going to be a lot of development that needs to take place, and we'll talk about that more when Loud makes that official prior to this weekend. I imagine before Friday, we'll have a big rosters update video where we're going to end up being able to touch on Loud and Red and other teams that have not made their rosters official yet. Fluxo. What helps get them to 6th and 5th in the solo lanes is Fu. Fu is a top 3 mid laner in LTA South based on Split 2, and it does help that literally half of the players were replaced. But Fu had his bright spots for that team. Otherwise, the team was a disaster. And Leviton, I mean, House and Toplop have joined, and that team is not very good. It's not very good. We look at regular season. How'd these teams fare during spring? Well, Payne had the best record in spring during the regular season, followed by Furia, Vivo, Keith Stars. Not a big surprise. Top 3 of the top 3. But Loud were 4th. And now after these roster changes, we'll see if they stay there. In terms of playoff finish, Furia won playoffs. Payne finished 2nd. Issaris Astral was 3rd, but have significantly changed their roster. And Vivo, Keith Stars were 4th. Power rankings, this is where things get really interesting. So we take the team stats, right? We look at all the games the teams have played all season long, their macro, their objective control, how many turrets they're taking per game relative to the teams they're against, how many kills they're getting, how many times they're dying, etc. The best team still in LTA South when we look at the entirety of the season so far is Payne. That's because Furia tanked in winter and didn't make playoffs. But Furia are 2nd. You saw my most updated power rankings last week. Furia are 12th in the minor regions. But Vivo Keith Stars are 6th, right? So statistically, their players are very strong, but their objective control and the way they play out the games is not clean. It's not a clean brand of League of Legends. So if they can right the ship, do the right things right, you get more kills than deaths. You take more turrets. You take Barons. You take Drakes. It's not rocket science. I mean, everybody knows that's how you win games. Sometimes you win games without doing that, and you're like, well, I mean, those are kind of the ways you usually do win games unless the opposition throws. So VKS, if they can improve in that way, they probably can realize that top 3 finish they could not get in spring due to struggling in the objective control. And Issaris Astral was 3rd in the power rankings. I expect we'll see how that goes. As this 3rd split goes along. Loud were 4th, Red are 5th, and then Fluxo and Leviton are towards the bottom. So going into split 3, I think Vivo Keith Stars is the team to watch again. They've had great records the last couple of years at times in the regular season, but when they get to the best ofs, they struggle. And in my opinion, that's because they need to play out the games in a better way, a cleaner way of League of Legends. I think they've improved in mid with Myru. So, I mean, that's their strongest part is Dismiss Myru. So, if they can be competitive in that way, they'll have a chance. Because Issaris is 2nd in mid jungle only because Jose is ranked as the top jungler in LTA South statistically. So it does help that they end up 2nd because, I mean, when you have him and then you have a bunch of guys that didn't play in Split 2, it does help. So that's it for the video. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you on tomorrow.